with me now, the A-team, as it were. Luis Gutierrez, former Democratic congressman from the great state of Illinois. Angela Rye, 3 days in a row with me, I think. Yeah. The former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, Maria Cardona, Democratic strategist, and Andrew Gillum, the former Democratic candidate for Florida governor, are for our CNN political commentators. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Ladies first, Ms. Rye.
Yes.
What are you watching for tonight?
I am watching for not just the square up. So last night it was about Bernie Sanders versus Elizabeth Warren, and tonight we're setting it up as Biden's clapping back at Kamala Harris. I think that we would be so remiss if we continue to forget about Cory Booker on the stage, and also Julian Castro. What I think is amazing, and what I'm honestly the most excited about tonight, is this stage looks like America. This stage looks
What
like
did you call last night?
White night. Yeah, last night was white night. But tonight looks like America, and it also looks like what the Democratic Party is supposed to be and regularly uses as a talking point. It's a big tent. It's a big tent on ideas. It's a big tent on geographic diversity, on ethnic diversity, and on the women to men ratio is not too bad.
How about you, Maria?
I think I agree with Angela.
Diversity.
Tonight is going to be a plethora of diversity in our party, which I think is fantastic. It reflects what actually America looks like. But I'm watching for something else. You know, we've seen the tension that was reported last night between the moderates versus the progressives, and, you know, whether the party is going too far left to really speak to the center voters of America. But here's, I think, our fundamental problem in the Democratic Party, and what I'm hoping the Democratic candidates will do tonight. We offer up a plethora of policies that speak to our brains, that speak to our common sense, that speak to our logic. Republicans offer up policies, whether their own or ours, to speak to our fears. And I think that's why last night Marianne Williamson got so much play, because she is speaking
on
to
the reparation race issue.
Yes, and racism, and, you know, the dark psychic forces of Donald Trump. I mean, seriously, she's speaking to a sliver of our psyche that I don't think any of our candidates have really gotten to yet.
I'm
and I think that's
talk to her about
incredibly
it.
important.
She's coming up here in just a little bit,
Yeah,
so we'll ask her about it. Hang tight, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no, I mean, picking up from where you left off, I said earlier today that it felt like she was sort of ministering to us, not in a religious sense, but really as a nation, you know, sort of a reminder of what we want to get back to, or what we ought to be trying to get back to, as just, you know, civil discourse and civil dialogue, right?
We're going to see that tonight?
Well, I mean, first of all, I keep hearing, you know, Biden's taking the gloves. I don't need him to take the gloves off. I just want him to be a fierce defender of his record. I want him to be a unapologetic advocate for what he wants to do for the American people. And I think that's what the viewers want to see. We don't see a mashup. I don't want to see them throwing blows necessarily against each other, but you've got to be accountable for your record. And he's not the only one on this stage tonight that will have to be held to account for their record. If you are Kamala Harris, if you are Castro did a great job down in Miami of basically raising his profile by taking a swing on an issue.
He did.
And so tonight, I expect that the candidates who are a little lesser known, the ones that haven't seemed to have caught fire yet, they're going to have to make a stand, because if they don't, this could actually be the last time you find them on a national stage in this race.
Congressman, what are you looking for?
I think so. Everybody's trying to consolidate a base, because they've got to get to the second round of debates, right? And they got to get up to 2%. And I think Julian Castro, and in all fairness to him, he's never been a very ethnocentric Latino kind of spokesperson, right? It's not been what he's been known for. But he picked up on the issue of immigration in a very intelligent way and in a very precise way that really put his other counterpart for Texas, because we got two Texans.
Beto O'Rourke.
And I said, I think at the end of the debate, he said, I'm going to make sure you're a lot more O'Rourke and a lot less Beto when this debate is over. You know? And he did it very skillfully, right? And so he put himself. And, you know, let's face it, Booker and Harris, they've got to fight with Biden, because Biden's leading among African Americans. And just so that we're clear, even among Latinos, I mean, Julian Castro sees that Harris is ahead of him among Latinos. All these things are good, because it demonstrates that people aren't just voting the color of their skin or their ethnicity or the language, because that's our party. Lastly, I would say that one of the things I think that was really missing about our analysis of yesterday's debate is women, right? Let's remember that women were what allowed the Democratic Party to take back the House of Representatives,
Yeah.
to take back the governorship. It was the march, more than 1 million women organizing. And so I don't fret about the divisions in our party in this debate, because in the end, the women that started this revolution and this resistance against Donald Trump are going to keep us all together.
Come on,
Can
Can
I just really quickly, and then we'll go to break and we'll talk to you guys again. But quickly on your point about the clapback, and I hear you saying Biden doesn't need to take the gloves off or whatever. But when and if he does clap back, specifically to Senator Harris, how does he do so effectively, just given the optics of the situation?
Not only does he have optics in dealing with a black woman who is strong and can stand on her own as a former prosecutor, so you might not want to go up against her in case you've missed any Senate hearing during her questioning. But the other thing that he has against him is another part of his record that is a dark moment, that where Anita Hill didn't really accept his apology, what that says to black women who have stood behind Anita Hill for decades and still do. So he's got to be very careful. I do not envy his advisors right now, but hopefully, Brooke, at least he's listening to his black advisors right now.
I want to keep this conversation rolling along. Stay with me. More to discuss, including the party divide over whether to provide health care to undocumented immigrants, right? This is a huge topic that came up last night. Plus, Google says, you guys mentioned this, she was the most searched candidate on that debate stage last night. Is that a good thing? Is that a not great thing? I don't know. Marianne Williamson is here live to talk reparations, Oprah, and how to beat President Trump. So, Congressman, and then Maria, on this, you heard, especially Sanders, not only saying, let's decriminalize the crossings, but let's let folks who are coming in undocumented have free health care. Is that your position, or does that go too far?
Yeah. See, it's the word free. It's the word free. Should they have access to health care?
Free.
If they're working in the United States?
Do you think they should?
Absolutely. And that was my problem with Obamacare. You remember when Obama came before the House of Representatives in a joint session and said, I'm going to have health care for everybody, but the illegals won't. And he used the word illegals, right, to refer to undocumented residents in the United States. And someone yelled out, "You liar." You remember that? Okay. The reason I had such trouble with Obamacare was the immigrants that were undocumented couldn't buy in to Obamacare, right? They were excluded permanently. So they should be included and allowed the same opportunity that I have or anybody in this panel has to get health care if they're here in this country. And secondly, let's remember, we live in very mixed families, right? And so everybody's got to get health care. We have a citizen, we have a permanent resident, we have a dreamer, and then we have somebody with nothing. We've got to include everybody until we fix our broken immigration system.
You know what the critics say? This increases, more folks will come over illegally.
Can I just say this? No one is going to come over here undocumented simply to get health care. That's not the reason people come over here. People come over here because if they don't leave their home countries, at least right now in Central America, they will die. That's a big